Okay, welcome back to Match Week Breakdown. We are in Match Week 4, I believe. We're in Match Week 4. Um, yeah. I've not got a lot to say about this match week, to be fair. It was fairly normal. Um, there were a lot of... There wasn't really anything, to be fair. It was a decent match week. Um, yeah, it was okay. Yeah, I don't really know what you lot want me to say about it. There wasn't anything. There are a lot of 3-0 scorelines, and by a lot I mean about 3, but 3 out of 10 is quite a lot when you think about it. There were 2 red cards that happened. Um, there were a few late goals, not just winners. There was one late winner. That was a very, very late winner, and there was a late equaliser as well. A very late equaliser. Nearly a late winner. Actually, no, there was 2 late winners. Yes, there were 2 whole late winners. Which is always a good thing, I would say. Um, but yeah, anyway, we're gonna do what we normally do. You know how we do. You know what we do at this point. We start the first game, work our way down. I tell you the goal scorers. I tell you what happened in that game. I tell you how they did it. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, first game, Arsenal Nottingham Forest. A return for Ange Postecoglou to the north of London, not just to the north in general. Um, he will at some point go into the north, but he's not in the north currently. He is currently in North London. Um, 3-0 win for Arsenal. Very, very comfortable game. Um, the day that this was happening, I was putting up a fence, which is always a helpful thing to happen on a game day. Started at 8 a.m. Game was obviously the earliest game of not just the match week, but of the day. We had a 12:30 kickoff. Um, so me and my dad had to finish not early because we got it all done, to be fair. Um, But yeah, 4.5 hours. Bosh. New fence. Watch Arsenal beat Nottingham Forest 3-0. Perfect. Anyway, 2 goals from Zubamendi and then 1 from Victor Gyökeres. I don't know how you say Gyökeres. Is it Gyökeres or Gyökeres? Because I say Gyökeres, but I've heard a lot of people obviously say it Gyökeres. Um, I think I'm gonna keep saying Gyökeres, but I know a lot of people say Gyökeres, which I find weird. Unless it's a silent G, and that's how like Sweden. Not his mum, not his parents, just Sweden in general. I think that might be how it works. Yeah. Um. But yeah, the first Zubamendi goal, by the way, was absolute belter. What a goal that was! I've seen so many people saying, "Oh, but it was down the middle of the goal and it took a deflection, so it's not that good." You have to think about how he did it though, as well, don't you? Like it's coming from a corner. By the way, Noni Madueke on corners and just Noni Madueke in general in this game was absolutely that is possibly one of the best right wing displays I've seen. I'm not gonna say ever, because there's a few more like that I might not be able to think of, but there is a few more that are amazing. But out of the ones that I've seen, it might have to be up there. And it is probably up there. But he was just like Noni Madueke was just fearless this game. Like he would get the ball, and he did it in the Liverpool game. Um, not last week, week before, I believe, because obviously we had that stupid international break in the middle. I also hate international breaks. I'm gonna go back onto Madueke and obviously the goal in a second. But international breaks are just so boring. Like what you watch your home country play, and then nothing else happens. You see them play twice. What's the point? I'll tell you what the point is. There isn't a point. It's just boring, and I can't stand them. Like I'll watch it if like it's the World Cup or the Euros, but if it's just an international friendly, I don't really care. If it's like a qualifiers, I also don't really care. We played. Who did we play during that? Andorra and Serbia. And Serbia, we like England played alright. Um, but Andorra, shit. Sorry for the French or Spanish or Italian, wherever you come from. Think about it well and truly in all types of all walks of life, you know. Swear words can be used anywhere. So I'm sorry for every language. Is there 196 or is there more? There's got to be more than 196. I feel like I'm thinking of countries, or I'm just really stupid. It's probably that one, to be fair. Um, but yeah, international breaks just annoy me. Let me know if they annoy you as well, because your club football stops. And I've got a hot take as well. I think club football is better than um country football. Like watching your home country play, I think club football's better because I think in certain terms, club football is not as interesting as you go on. Wait, people. This always happens. If you watch me every week or listen to me every week, you know there's always a yawn. There's always quite a few yawns, to be fair. Um, in like certain terms, country football can be better than club. Or international country football, international football. Um, but like in terms of like the World Cup and the Euros, but just in general, they happen every like there's a competition every 2 years. So it's either the World Cup or then the Euros. World Cup's obviously every four, I want to say, or am I thinking of the Olympics? Or are they? Is it both? I can't be asked to research it, but it's something like that. But yeah, I think in circumstances of the World Cup or the Euros, international football's better. But I think club football as a whole, there's so much more emotion from the fans that go into it. Like in international football, I like how the country kind of friends, and then it finishes, and then everyone goes back to hating each other because of the club that they support. Which, in a way, oh my word, which in a way I think is stupid that you don't like each other over what obviously you can have like mates, but you'll just take the piss. Like the team that you support, like, oh yeah, you're shit mate. It's just like, yeah, nice. Um but then when England play you wanna be my mate, you wanna be like my best friend. But I think yeah, I think international football just really bores me when it's not one of the two big competitions. Or maybe you're from somewhere else. You're like from Brazil or Argentina or Chile or Bolivia. Bolivia's normally there. I was gonna say Latvia, but they're in the Euros as well, aren't they? But anyway, yeah, it's Mexico. I think is in the like what's that called? What is that competition called? I can never remember. The I was gonna say the Coppa d'Italia, but I think that's like the Italian version of the FA Cup. Um, Anyway, I'm rambling on. That doesn't matter. But anyway, yeah, I think club football is better than international football. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about Noni Madueke, Arsenal, and Zumendi, and then obviously the other games that happened. Anyway, Madueke was classy, and I said this to my father in the middle of the game, maybe at like half time, maybe a bit, maybe in the second half, maybe in the first. At some point during the game, I said, do you reckon Saka, and I want to know your opinion on this as well. Do you reckon Saka gets back in to the squad if Madueke keeps up his form like this? Because I genuinely believe that Madueke will. He is one of those players that you need to keep consistently fit for him to consistently put up good performances. Um, And I think when Saka comes back, it's nice competition for him to have. And he's definitely watching. He was obviously at the Nottingham Forest game as it was at the Emirates Stadium. Um, but I don't know. It's an odd conversation to have. And I don't know if Mikel Arteta has maybe had that conversation with Saka. Obviously, he's out injured. Um, will hopefully be back Tuesday. If not in the starting 11, then probably on the bench. But it's a good conversation to have, really, isn't it? When you think about it, and it also shows something about Arsenal that the 8 transfers that they brung in during the transfer window, obviously, um, has really paid off because you can kind of see last season when we lost Odegaard, which we have again, by the way. Um, when we lost Odegaard and then we lost Saka. Sorry, yawn. Can someone keep a yawn counter? I think we're on number 3. I think that was yawn number 3. But anyway, when you think about last season and how when we lost people like Saliba and Odegaard and Saka, who did we have to bring in for them? We brought in Kivior, Ethan Waneri at right wing, and then like Jorginho for Odegaard. But now we can bring in Marino for Odegaard. We could bring in Ethan Waneri for Odegaard, as we now have Madueke as a right winger. But if he gets injured, then, like I said, we could put Marino like there, or we could put Declan Rice. Obviously got rested, so our midfield kind of went. Our midfield went Marino, Zubimendi, and Odegaard. That's what it started off as anyway. And then Odegaard got injured in about 5 minutes. I want to say. Was it 5 minutes? Let me do my fact checking on that actually, because it might not have been 5 minutes. It was somewhere around 5 minutes. He got injured. Oh, well, it was 18. He got brought off in the 18th minute. So it felt like 5 minutes though. Bear with, yawn, I can feel it. There we go. I think we're on yawn 4. Um, but yeah, it was. I've genuinely lost track of what I was saying. Anyway, yes, our depth has gotten a lot greater than what it was last season. Anyway, uh, Odegaard got injured. He landed. Murillo went in for. I believe it was Murillo who went in on a challenge, and Odegaard got caught in the crossfire. There was about 3 people involved, and Odegaard got caught. He went flying in the air, like genuinely, he went flying in the air. Well, not genuinely, because people can't fly, but like you know what I mean. Um, he went flying into the air and then landed on that bad shoulder that he got his last injury with. Um, and by last injury, I mean the one that got him benched last week. No, not last week. I'm gonna keep saying last week. The week before, um, yeah, we got him benched against Liverpool 2 weeks ago. So we're gonna see how that one evolves. Uh, I can't really remember what Arteta said. He just kind of said no surgeries needed. Might be a few days. We're gonna try getting back for Tuesday. But if I'm honest, I kind of preferred Waneri in that role. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but I saw Waneri come in on that role, and I think he looked a lot more comfortable than Odegaard did. Obviously, Odegaard's our captain, but when you think about it, Odegaard didn't look as comfortable on the ball as Waneri did. And maybe that's because Waneri might have something to prove now that we have Madueke and Saka occupying that right wing spot. Um, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how everything goes. I personally, um, if I was Arteta and I was in this situation where Odegaard is now injured again, um, I would start Nwaneri from even when. Sorry. Sorry. So even when Odegaard comes back, I would start Nwaneri and go. I would have a chat with Odegaard and go, "Listen, mate, I know you've been injured a lot, but you've still not quite found that form that you had. So yeah, just kind of find that again." And I would give, whilst he's out, I know Gabriel is technically the vice captain, but I would give, or Saka is. Is it Saka or Gabriel who's got vice captain? I think it's Saka actually. But I would give Declan Rice the leadership. I would give him the captain's armband and just see how he does for a few games, whilst Odegaard kind of finds his feet again. But yeah, anyway, Zubamendi's first goal was sublime, or taken like on the first time volley, literally one of possibly the best goals I've ever seen in my life, apart from those 2 Decky Rice free kicks. Yeah. Bet you forgot about them. You probably haven't actually. If you're an Arsenal fan, you're watching them at least once a month, if not more. I'm watching them once a week. I'm joking. I'm obviously not watching them once a week. Um, but yeah, Zubimendi's hit was just incredible. And then obviously Victor Gyökeres with the Eze assist, which I was very happy about because Eberechi Eze obviously made his first start. He started at the Emirates. It was perfect, literally perfect start for Eberechi Eze. And then Gyökeres, who is top scorer with 3 goals, or joint. He must be joint. Let me check again. I'm doing a lot of checking in this video, but that's for your viewing pleasure, and so I don't get stuff wrong and look like an absolute idiot. Players. Nope, that's wrong. Statistics? No, that's wrong. Hold on a second. History. No. Anyway, I think he's either joint top scorer or he is top scorer with 3 and 4. Um, but yeah, Eze assist, Gyökeres goal. That was literally exactly how we need to use Gyökeres. I know a lot of people will say tapping merchant, and I do say that with Erling Haaland as well, but as you kind of watch football a bit more, you go, that's actually why they bought Haaland, and that's why we bought Gyökeres. So we can just play it across the face of the goal and he can just tap it in. And there was about 3 Forest defenders in there who could have got the ball before him, but Gyökeres pushed past all of them and just went, yeah, actually, mate, I'm going to get the ball and you can't do anything to stop me. I'm literally going to move you out the way quickly. But yeah, I think Gyökeres, that's why we bought him. And I think Eze set it up perfectly. And I'm just saying, right? No one talks about the Calafiori ball over the top. And no one talks about Calafiori. He's had an incredible start to the season. But the pre-assist from Calafiori was perfect. And that, the Nottingham Forest defender who misjudged it, I think his name was Savona. Was it Savona? The young defender who came on for Murillo who got injured? Um, I'm just saying also, if Murillo didn't come off, I reckon Forest would have had a decent like defensive performance because he was really good in that game up until he obviously came off for his thigh injury, I believe. I think it was a thigh injury, but yeah, I think a lot of things this episode. Clearly, I said I think a lot. Um, but yeah. Anyway, Zubimendi's second goal, Trossard came on, whipped in an inch perfect cross. By the way, that was a perfect cross, and Zubimendi got his head on it. I believe it was his first ever brace. I was going to say third. His first ever brace. If no one wouldn't know what brace means, by the way, that's 2 goals in 1 game. And his, I want to say his second or third ever goal from outside the box. Um, which is very good. So very well done, Zubimendi. Very well done, Eze. Very well done, Gyökeres. And also, £13 million defender Mosquera, who had a cracker of a game. He was everywhere. He was great. He was so composed on the ball for a 21-year-old. He's tall, he's strong, he's composed. He is a bargain. 13 million. Thank you very much. Villarreal? Or was it Valencia? No, it was Valencia, not Villarreal. Villarreal were the people who beat us in preseason. Anyway, yeah, thank you, Valencia, for giving us Christian Mosquera. Or is it Chris? Because I know people say Christian, but it surely is like Christian because he's got a TH. I think it's CRISTHIAN. No? Or am I just an idiot? Probably just an idiot. Don't answer that one. But I believe that we deserved it. We got what we needed. We had a good game, very assured, and then we're going to beat City at home next week. I'm not joking actually. But first we have to get through Tuesday against who was our first Champions League game again, lads? First Champions League game was Athletic Bilbao. There we go. Yeah, Athletic Bilbao Tuesday at Bilbao. So we're gonna probably get our first look at Kepa. There's no Nwaneri and no Lewis Skelly in the Champions League squad for whatever reason. I have a feeling we're gonna start Max Dowman. Rice is probably gonna get some minutes. Um Havertz isn't back from injury, so he's not gonna go up front. Uh, Eze might start in the midfield. Martinelli will probably go onto the left. Depends if Saka's back, because Arteta hasn't ruled him out completely for Tuesday or tomorrow. Actually, Jesus, yeah, that's tomorrow. Um, Ben White is back, I think. And so is Saliba, I believe. Well, Saliba's meant to be fit again. Obviously, he didn't start or wasn't even in the team for the Forest game for Saturday. But we're gonna see. Anyway, next game is Bournemouth versus Brighton, um, which I didn't watch because it wasn't on TV. These next three games, or four, wait, no, one, two, three, four, five. So these next five games weren't on TV. I sounded like Ange. No, I didn't. I'm joking. Bournemouth, Brighton. Alex Scott in the 18th minute. 48 minutes in, Cairo Mitoma scored, so 3 minutes after the break. And then Antoine Semenyo scored the decider in the 61st minute via a penalty. And obviously Semenyo got the assist for the Alex Scott goal as well. I haven't watched the highlights. All I know is that Senesi got a yellow, and so did Lewis Dunk, and so did Jorginho Rottet, as well as James Milner, who started this game, surprisingly enough. Brighton haven't had a great start to the season. They've only scored 3 goals in 4 games. So the same amount of goals that Gyökeres scored. I'm not gonna live that down, I don't think. But Brighton have had an okay. It's been all right. They're 13th in the table. Brentford, however, have had a very good start. Or Brentford, what am I on about? Bournemouth have had a very good start to the season. They're sat in fourth on 9 points, so they've only got a loss to their name this season. A goal difference of +1, which is always helpful at the start of the season. But it's a good morale booster, to be fourth. And obviously, again, we're 4 weeks in, but that doesn't matter necessarily. Do you know what I mean? Um, because it's kind of around Christmas time, like late November to Christmas time, where you start figuring out who is well and truly in that title race. Like if Bournemouth can keep this up until Christmas, then they might get Europe. And I thought they were going to get Europe last season, but they didn't get Europe last season, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, Brighton have been good, man. They've been really good. Well, last season, I mean, but Bournemouth have been good this season. And then last season, I don't really know what happened to them. They had a bit of a drop off last season. I don't believe they're in. Um, I've forgotten the name of it. European football. I don't think they're in Conference League because that place goes to Crystal Palace, which I think is flipping stupid. Um, a bloody stupid days. I think it's stupid that Palace are in the Conference League and not in the actual Europa League when they beat when they. This is what doesn't make any sense. And I spoke about this in the Game Week 1 episode, I believe, or Game Week 2. Just after we found out about Palace going into the Conference League and Nottingham Forest moving up into the Europa League. Um, but I think it's stupid because they won the competition that grants them that place to go into the Europa League. But then they go, actually, nah, mate, you're gonna not go into the Europa League anyway. Like I don't get it. But um, Bournemouth 2, Brighton 1. Again, I haven't watched any of the highlights, so I can't give you uh insightful review of what this game was like. Um, but yes, that was the score. The stats, if you want to hear stats, maybe. 13 shots for Bournemouth, 6 for Brighton, 4 on target. Where have I read 4? 5 on target for Bournemouth against the 2 on target for Brighton. 393 passes completed. Actually, no, not all of them were completed. Only 79% of them were completed. Should we do the maths? So how many did they actually complete in total? So 393 times 0. I'm being an idiot. 0.79. So they actually only completed 310 of their passes. And I can't be asked to do the one for Brighton because I'm lazy. 4 corners each. Verbruggen had to make 3 saves, opposed to Petrovic's 1. Um, yeah, that's kind of all the shot. And possession. And if you want to hear XG, then yeah, 51% possession to Bournemouth, and then 1.45 XG for Bournemouth, opposed to the 0.62 of Brighton for XG counts. But XG really is one of the most pointless things I've ever heard in football because it doesn't really tell you anything. Like, yeah, cool. Here's the expected goals, but they might have scored like more goals than what they're expected to. Stupid. Um, but anyway, Crystal Palace, Sunderland. Crystal Palace are currently unbeaten in the Premier League. They haven't lost. They've obviously won one of their games, and then they've drawn the other 3, which leaves them 9th in the table. So probably, if I had to guess where they're going to be at the end of the season, it will be the exact place that they always are, 12th, maybe higher. Obviously, they're Ezeless at the minute. I think Sunderland are going to finish lower than them, but I don't think it'll be like a lot. Um, but Crystal Palace created a lot in this game, man. A lot, a lot. And Sunderland were just able to hang on. And I think that's what it is with a lot of the teams that have come up. Obviously, with winning the FA Cup, you get a lot of morale and you start playing with a bit more freedom, maybe, than what you normally would. Because you've got that trophy, you've now got that experience, and you want to go on and keep your, what's the word? Momentum. That's the word. You want to keep your momentum going. Um, but yeah, obviously the goalkeeper for Sunderland, he obviously got a yellow. But I can't pronounce his name. I think it's Roofs. It's spelled Roefs. So I'm gonna say Roofs. But if I'm wrong, then please do correct me. But I think, yeah, Sunderland just hung on, and that's all it is. Newly promoted sides would want to do that, though. To teams like Palace, who obviously, as I spoke about, will have that momentum going for them this season. And it's clearly catching on. Like, they're unbeaten. They have they don't have all the points that they want. Obviously, starting off a season, you want to have 12 points from your first 4. Um, but they're unbeaten, and you can't really argue with that. So, yeah, but Sunderland drew, and I think Sunderland are going to have a very good season. And I really like their manager, Regis Lebris, I think. If I said that wrong again, please do correct me. Um, I don't know how you're going to correct me. Just like put the spelling in the comments. Don't just put his name in the comments because that doesn't help. But I think it's like it might be Reggie. No, because that just sounds stupid. Reggie Labrie. Regis Labris. There you go. Regis Labris. That's what we're going to call him from now on. Until I know the actual pronunciation, we're going to call him Regis Labris. Um, but yeah, I think, well, Crystal Palace actually had the same amount of shots on target than Sunderland had shots at all. Um, if you want to know how many shots Sunderland had on target against Crystal Palace, read the scoreline, and then you'll find the answer in the scoreline. But yeah, 0-0, really, like, it's quite boring, to be fair. Not much happened, if I'm honest. Obviously, with a 0-0 game, you can't really comment on much because not much happened. But yeah, there you go, 0-0 again. Um, there were quite a few boring games. Like this next game is also 0-0. Everton Aston Villa. And I don't know what's happening with Aston Villa, if I'm completely honest. Have they scored all season? It was 0-0 against Everton, which is the game that we're about to go on to. They Where's this game? They didn't score against Crystal Palace last week. Or 2 weeks ago, sorry. They didn't score against Brentford in match week 2. And they didn't score against Newcastle, so they still haven't found a breakthrough. all season. And that is worrying for a side of Villa standard. And when I mean Villa standard, obviously look at what they did last season. Like, it is worrying. And it's quite what's what am I trying to say? Villa don't look as threatening as they did last season. Obviously, Emi Buendia, John McGinn scored a few last season. Watkins was there a lot. Morgan Rogers was creating issues for everyone. But this season, they don't seem like doing anything. And Yuri Tielemans hasn't scored an absolute belter yet, which is the only goals he kind of can score. You just find those players sometimes that can only score bangers. Um, and this man's name will annoy a lot of people, but Thomas Partey was one of those players. Only scores bangers, like last season in that 5-1 win against Man City, and he scored a banger then. And I don't think I've ever seen him score a normal goal. Not when he was with us anyway. He might have done for Atletico Madrid, and he might do for Prison FC, but we'll see how that goes. He might be their newest signing, if I'm not wrong, or there might be another one in there. There's a few from Real Madrid that are probably going to get transferred over to Prison FC. But yeah, anyway, we're going off topic. Um, I seriously do not know what is going on for Aston Villa this season. Um, and it's kind of the same as United. Like, they've created a fair few amount of chances, but they just can't seem to finish them off. But in this game, it was Everton who had a lot of chances. Everton had 20 shots, and 2 of them were on target. And that is also a big issue when you have 20 shots and only 10% of them are actually on target. Because that must have been. No. Wait. Am I being stupid again? Yes, I am. That's normal, though, at this point. We should all know this by now. Um, wait, no, I'm not. Yeah, 10% of their shots were on point. On point? On target. Yeah, 10%. Yeah. Tell me if I'm being stupid, but I don't think I am. Um, yeah, Everton nil, Aston Villa nil. Um, Everton probably should have won this game, to be fair, but Grealish got a yellow, which didn't do well for my FPL team. Um, but there we go. Just the way that life spins, in it. Always not the best thing. But other than that, we're moving on to games that had goals. And by goals, I think I mean one for the next game that happened there. Yeah. So, scores on your door so far is Arsenal got 3-0 win against Forest, chopping down Ange's trees. Um, Bournemouth and Brighton was two. I don't know why I said all that. Brighton. I kind of like rolled my tongue a little bit there, didn't I? Brighton. Brighton. There we go. Crystal Palace, Sunderland 0-0. Everton Villa also 0-0. Now we're moving on to the really exciting games of a 1-0 win for Fulham against Leeds. Um, and it was it's horrible for the Leeds defender Gabriel Goodmanson. I think that's how you say his name. I think I actually said it correctly. Um, but the poor bugger. I think he started the game as well. He did, and I feel sorry for him. I genuinely do feel sorry for him because to score an own goal in the 94th minute away, where you could have got a point away from home for Leeds is actually a decent. It's a decent one, and Leeds were actually playing better than them as well. In like they didn't have the most amount of possession or the most amount of passes, but they just looked more dangerous on the attack. And yeah, yeah, man, it's it's horrible when that happens. It really is. Um, but I thought Leeds were going to win, and I think they deserved to win, if I'm honest with you. But they didn't. They didn't get a win. They have won though, so don't you worry. A Lucas and Metcha penalty in game week 1, or was it game week 2? One of the two. Um, yeah, so they have won this season, and I think home form is going to be big for them as well as it will be for Burnley. I think Sunderland will be alright at home. Obviously, it's always a big advantage when you're at home, but I think they'll be alright home and away this season. I'm intrigued to see how they play against teams like Liverpool and Arsenal, um, whether they'll sit back and absorb the pressure and hit them on the counter, or whether they will just play normal football. Um, I think for Villa, I'm going to speak about them a bit more. Last season, if these teams were in the Prem, I think they would have sat back against Villa and absorbed that pressure and then hit them on the counter. But I don't think you need to this season. Genuinely, I don't think you need to. Um, I think it'll be the other way round, if I'm completely honest. And I think Unai Emery might need to try something different just to bring in a goal, if not, like, you know what I mean? And it was Fulham's first win as well of the season, which will hurt even more for Gabriel Goodmanson in the morning. But yeah, I do genuinely feel bad for Gabriel. Shall I just say the last name? Because there's a lot of Gabriels in the league. There's 3 in Arsenal alone. So Goodmanson will feel horrible. He probably felt horrible on Sunday, and maybe will today. I hope the lads are literally telling him like, listen, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It happens to everyone. But yeah, that's kind of all that happened this game. To be fair, nothing else happened. No red cards. No nothing. So yeah, a 94-minute own goal for Goodmanson gives Fulham their first win of the season at Craven Cottage. Next though, we have Nick Voltemade. I've heard a lot of people say it like that, so I'm just gonna say it like that as well. Who scored on his debut for Newcastle to give them the win over Wolverhampton Wanderers. Um, I think Wolves are gonna get relegated, and my opinions have changed on who's gonna get relegated and who's not. I still think Burnley will, and I think I might have said that Brentford would instead of Wolves. But I think Wolves will. I said I think Wolves will be alright because of Vitor Pereira, but I just think Brentford um will be fine now, to be fair. And I think Wolves will be relegated along with who else do you reckon is actually getting relegated? Because I think West Ham have picked up their performances considerably from the start of the season. I mean, not about the game that I'm about to speak about at all, but still. Um, and I think, and I genuinely do believe this. Call me crazy if you want, but if Man United keep in Amorim for this season, I honestly think that they're gonna get relegated. Genuinely, I think Biyinde is terrible. Andre Onana went to Trabzonspor and got man of the match in the first game against Fenerbahce, which is fantastic, by the way. It just shows that United is the problem. And then they also got that new goalkeeper in called Lemons. Not Lemons, Lamons. But that even sounds weird. They got a new goalkeeper in anyway from Antwerp, I believe. Um, and people are calling him the next Courtois. But at United, they're going to call him the next Tom Heaton. And he probably will be, to be fair. He's going to stay there until he's 36 and then just not do anything. Um, but yeah, genuinely, I think United will get relegated, which I'm not sad about. I'm very happy about that, to be fair. But anyway, on to the game, man. Nick Voltemade scored on his debut in around half an hour to give Newcastle the win. Obviously, Jacob Murphy got the assist. Voltemade, I would like to say, is 6'6". So for him, if he didn't go onto the end of that header, I think he would have been killed for not scoring after losing Isak, who didn't even play for Liverpool. Because I'm going to say lack of fitness. I didn't hear what Slot said, but I'm going to assume it was lack of fitness. Because obviously he didn't really train a lot. He went all baby mode, went back to Real Sociedad to train, and then decided I'm going to train on my own and not with the team like I should do. Um, so he tried about it a bit, and then isn't at full match fitness, which I'm going to assume is why Liverpool didn't play him because he's shit. Joking, Isak is probably top 3 strikers in the world, even though I don't like him like at all. I used to like him, like when he would actually train and play games for the team that he played for. um, and was contracted to. I did like him, but now I don't because he's a. I'm gonna say it. Block your ears if you don't like swear words. He's a wanker. But that is all I have to say about that game, really. They actually scored a goal. Newcastle managed to score, and they did against Liverpool, but I can't really imagine that they've scored many more. I don't really want to go back and look through all the stats of Newcastle, 'cause I don't really like them. Next is where the first red card gets pulled out of the match week. It was a 3-0 battering against West Ham for Spurs. Tottenham Hotspur, Sarr goal, Lucas Bergwijn goal, Mickey van der Ven goal, Thomas Souček red card. Not very good at all. I think Spurs looked good again, which annoys me. I think Bergwijn's goal was the best one. That ball over the top by Romero was just like perfect, and the header was just as good. I think Bergwijn was good in this game. I was a bit confused when I saw the lineup. I'm not gonna lie to you all, because I saw Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, and then Spence, and I was like, all right, cool. And then I saw in the midfield was Sarr, and I was like, okay, it's probably going to be Sarr, Paulini, and Bentancur. So I saw Sarr, and I was like, all right, nice. And then I saw Paulina, and I was like, okay, cool, I guess. And then I saw Bergvall, and I went, right, okay, what on earth? Because I think Bentancur's been solid, even though he is racist. Um, but Kudu started. I was confused with Tau starting up front. I don't know if Richarlison's injured though. So that might be why. I'm going to check. No, he wasn't. He was on the bench anyway. Um, so Tell started, and then Xavi Simmons, who had a good game as well, to be fair. Xavi Simmons got an assist, I believe, if I'm not being stupid, which I probably am, again, because as we all know, that is what I do now. Um, yeah, it was Paulo Moani. Paulo Moani, who is also a new signing for Spurs, as we all know, didn't play at all, which is fun. And then Yes Basuma is getting left out of the team completely, and I think Spurs are going to listen to offers. I don't think Thomas Frank's too happy with his attitude, and being late to training quite a lot, which is fair enough. And I like that about Thomas Frank. I like they don't take any of that from the players. And I can imagine he doesn't take it from staff if staff are late. Um, I can imagine, but don't quote me on that because I haven't spoken to Thomas Frank ever. So I don't really know what he does. Anyway, um, West Ham nil, Spurs 3. I think Spurs are going to have a decent season, like I've said for the 7 episodes. Are we on 7 episodes? Oh my god, we're on episode 7. Um, but yeah, I think Spurs are going to have a decent season. I don't want them to, but I think they will. So next game is Brentford 2, Chelsea 2. Um, Kevin Schade actually scored the first goal in this game, which I'm really happy about because I triple captain João Pedro. So Chelsea are actually 1-0 down at half time. And everyone, I think, was thinking, oh, wow, well, Brentford might have a chance here because they're 1-0 up against Chelsea, who are the Club World Cup champions. And then obviously Cole Palmer coming back from injury on in the 60th minute, maybe a bit earlier than that. Let me have a look. Let me have a look. He got brought on in 56 minutes. So pretty much the 60-minute mark, and then 5 minutes later scored. Because that's just how Cole Palmer does, I guess. And then Moises Caicedo scored. It was actually a fairly decent goal as well, outside the box, just on the D, I believe. On that inside edge of the D. And then Fabio Carvajal, bosh. Garnacho loses him on his debut as well. I don't want to talk much about. I don't know how I feel about Garnacho actually. He's okay. He's a decent footballer. I'll give him that. But just in general, I just don't really like him. I think he's a whiny little bitch. Sorry for the French, Italian language, whatever you want to call it, really. But yeah, Fabio Carvajal in the 93rd minute gives Brentford a point to run away from the match with at the G Tech Community Stadium. Yeah, I think it was a decent performance from them, if I'm completely honest. Um, do I believe that um do I believe that Chelsea are gonna have a good season? Yes. Do I believe that Brentford are gonna have a good season? I don't know. Because they're currently sat in 12th. Are they gonna have a good season? I'm gonna say they're gonna have an okay season. I think Keith Andrews, like I always say, is gonna grow into the role and will deliver them a decent. I think he'll struggle up until Christmas from now, but will deliver them a decent second half of the season to keep them up. There you go. That's what I believe is going to happen. Um, but yeah, I think Chelsea are going to have a decent season. Enzo Maresca seems to be a competent manager enough to get them at least Europa League. If not, they'll get Champions League football, which isn't completely out of the grasp, considering where they are in the table right now, which is they're sat in fifth, which is in their grasp. 4 games in, again, I will always stand by this sword. Or is that what you say? Is that a saying? No, it's not stand by this sword. Die on this sword. There you go. Um, we're 4 games in, so you can't decide anything yet. Um, but do I think Chelsea are gonna have a good season? Yes. Do I think they will be title contenders? Is still to be found out. But will they get Champions League? Maybe. Will they get Europa League? Yes. At least Europa League. Um, but yeah, still to be seen whether they'll be in the title race. I think the title race will be Arsenal Liverpool. Whoever comes after that is yet to be decided. So we're gonna see. Anyway, next game is a lucky win for Liverpool against Burnley. 95th minute penalty from Mohamed Salah. It was a good penalty as well. Um, they were below par, like genuinely. Below par, and Burnley also had a red card for who was that? Ogachukwu? Is that how you say his name? Ogachuk Ogachukwu Ogachukwu. Anyway, yes, him. You all know who I'm talking about. Burnley started with a 5 at the back, just trying to frustrate their opponents. And they did, to be fair. Liverpool were a bit shite. 27 shots, 4 on target. Burnley had 3. 81% possession for Liverpool. So you kind of knew what Burnley were going to do. They were going to go into this game, try and make Turf Moor feel a bit like a fortress, and just defend the game. Not going to play for a win, going to play for a draw. And then Hannibal decided to handball it in the penalty area on the 95th minute, which is always a smart decision. Um, I think Scott Parker went into this game with the exact mindset of they're champions, so we're just going to play for a draw because we know how good they are at attacking, which is why I started with a 5. Um, Ogachukwu should have never made that second challenge. Um, it was silly. I think he knew it was silly as soon as he went in for it as well. Um, and then Josh Cullen, who has been Burnley's best player this season, um, was there as well. And I think it was genuinely just like a defensive, I'm going to say defensive masterclass from Burnley because they were good at it, and then the penalty just let them down at the end, um, taking away 2 points. I was watching this game. Actually, no, I wasn't. Oh no, yawn. Um, I was keeping track of this game because I was at work, so I was keeping track of this game, and I was thinking Liverpool are 0-0 at half time against Burnley. So who knows? Maybe Burnley could pull out a masterclass and beat them, which is kind of what I wanted, because then Liverpool would drop points and Arsenal would be a point behind in the table. But no, that's not what Burnley decided to do. Burnley decided to lose their 3 points and give Liverpool max points from 4 games, which is ever so annoying, but that's just what you got to deal with in football. Salah composed from the spot, put it into the top left, I believe. Well, for him it would be top right, but it's top left. for the keeper who was Martin Dubravka. Are you gonna say? I'm gonna say top right because of how we saw it was also top right. So top right corner for Mo Salah. But yeah, man, there you go. That's not all the games, but I'm just saying, Liverpool are max points, exactly how you want to start a season. Like I said earlier, with max points. They're not the highest on goal difference. I think they've only got a +5. It is +5. Arsenal a higher goal difference. Spurs got a higher goal difference. Chelsea have a higher goal difference. City are only 1 goal behind on goal difference for Liverpool, but that doesn't matter. Goal difference doesn't matter when you've got more points than everyone else in the table. That's what wins you the title, is your points. And when you can win games like that, your champion status, I suppose. They are champion status though because they did win, and they did win the title last season, so they do literally have champion status. Um, but yeah, 1-0 Liverpool. Lucky, yes. Did they deserve it? Absolutely not. Did they get it though? Yeah. And then next one was just wow, just a battering, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? It was a battering, and City coming into this game will probably be a bit more. They were probably more. What's the word? Bit more up for it. There you go. Yeah, we'll just use that. They were probably a bit more up for it than what United were, considering that they just lost 2 in a row before international break, and then people went out. Haaland scored 5 for Norway, which is crazy, by the way. That's mental. Um, yeah, Haaland scored 5 for Norway, and then yeah, so Haaland scored a double. Phil Foden scored his first goal of the season, with a header to the bottom left. Bayinda is shit. Everyone in United is shit. I don't know how else to say it than just saying that. But I just think like Luke Shaw is terrible. Well, I don't know why they still start him. He's obviously he was a centre half of this game because Dorgu's taken over at left wing back. Um, but yeah, I don't see how if Amarim's form continues into this season in October, November, he's got to get the sack or just leave by himself because he's just driving this club into the ground. It's great to watch, but like it would be a joyous day if Man United got relegated, wouldn't it? So maybe keep Amorim just for this season. Watch him drive the club into the ground, and then they'll be in the Championship next season. So there you go, 3-0 Man City against United. It was it, it was just a great game to follow along with. Again, I was at work, which I'm sad about, but highlights always do you some good, don't they? And I've also heard things like Luke Shaw was just bad in general. Um, like someone on YouTube gave him a -10 billion rating, and he was probably taking the piss, but Luke Shaw probably did get about that rating. Anyway, that's the whole of Match Week 4 done. Can you believe it? I can because I just literally recorded it. Anyway, next week there are some fairly big games. Obviously, we got the first um Liverpool Everton game, which is always a good derby to watch. And then we have Chelsea Man United, which is always a decent game to watch. Sunderland Villa, which I'm looking forward to. I think Sunderland will beat Villa if I'm completely honest. We got Arsenal Man City, which is a good game. I think Fulham Brentford will also be a good game. Um, yeah, got some decent games next week. Are you looking forward to it? I hope so. You can't reply to me because none of you are joining me on this episode. Um, Later in the season, I'm thinking of getting some guests. I'm thinking of getting some guests on the show. If you have anyone in mind, just comment them. Um, like anyone at all. I know someone has already messaged me. Someone that I know who I send this podcast to a lot. You know who you are if you're listening. Um, who wants to help or would be happy to if I need a guest. Um, we'll see how the next few weeks go. Yeah, just comment people who you'd like to see me like bring onto the show at later points, and we'll see if we can make it happen. Okay, we'll see. But anyway, for now, I hope you all enjoyed the game week. I hope you enjoyed listening to me rambling about the game week. Game week 5 next. Looking forward to it. I hope you're all looking forward to it, because I know I am. So, I'll see you all in game week 5 after European football. Saturday night? What am I on about? Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and there's also some on Thursday night. So if your teams are playing, watch it, support them, do all that you can, and then keep an eye out for game week 5. Keep an eye out for your FPL team. Keep an eye out for everything to do on this channel, because who knows? Maybe there'll be a Champions League episode. Who knows? Keep a lookout for it. It's coming. Promise you will. And now that I promised it, I literally cannot let you down. So there will be a Champions League episode on. If I can record it on Saturday, it'll be recorded on Saturday. If I can't, then it might have to be a joint episode with Champions League and the Premier League. But we'll see, we'll see. I might do it on a Monday. No, I can't do it on a Monday. I'm working on a Monday. Um, we'll see. We'll see when it can be released. It'll probably be a joint episode with yeah, it'll probably be a joint episode with the Premier League one of Game Week 5. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this game week, because I know I did. Keep an eye out for everything that's happening. Keep an eye out on this channel on hopefully Saturday, but it might be a joint episode. We'll see. I don't know. Um, keep an eye out for a Champions League episode. Keep an eye out for the Game Week 5 episode. I will see you all very soon. Was that sexy? Was what I just did really sexy? The see you soon. I don't even know if you heard that. But anyway, Game Week 5. Have fun. Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, all have fun. Goodbye. I'll see you next episode.